Turkoglu there.
Turkoglu in 46 games, averaging 3 points in 10 minutes a night. Here's Dirk shooting a patented one-legged fade over Turkoglu and scoring.
Dirk Nowitzki's patented one-legged fadeaway was pretty much impossible to guard. He could get this shot off whenever he wanted, and there was nothing you could do about it besides pray he'd miss. What's up everyone, my name's Dimitri, and in this video, I'm going to show you everything there is to know about Dirk's signature fadeaway. I'm going to break down each segment of Dirk's fade and show you some of the keys to his success with it, some of the little details that made this shot so unguardable. Alright, the Dirk fade, let's dive in. Now, real quick, before I go through the shot itself, I want to just point out where and when Dirk liked to take his one-legged fadeaway. Dirk took this shot when in the mid-range area, and most of the time, the shot came off of a post-up with his back to the basket. To narrow that down even further, most of the time he was posting up in the mid-post. The mid-post being this area here. It's in the mid-range area between the low post and the high post. Now, of course, Dirk did take this shot in the other areas too, like the low post and high post. But yeah, the overwhelming majority of his one-legged fades came off back to the basket post-ups in the mid-post. Okay, just wanted to share that with you. Let me break down the actual shot now. I'm going to break down Dirk's one-legged fade into multiple parts so you can see all the pieces of the puzzle. And so you can see all the little details that made this shot so impossible to guard. Obviously, being 7 feet tall helped, but it's really all these subtle things that Dirk did that made it so unguardable, in addition to his height. Okay, first piece to the Dirk one-legged fade. Dirk always took this shot over his right shoulder. Another way to say that is his right shoulder was always closest to the basket as he began this shot. So if Dirk was backing down his defender with the basketball in his right hand, that meant that currently his left shoulder was closest to the basket. So to get into this shot, he'd spin around his left shoulder so that now he was in position, with his right shoulder closer. If he was backing down his defender with the ball in his left hand, that meant that he was already in position. His right shoulder was already closest to the basket, and he could go right into his one-legged fade from there. Ball in his right hand, spin, fade. Ball in his left hand, right into the fade. Just to show you, here's two where he shoots over his left shoulder. Well, this is just a normal turnaround fadeaway here. It's not technically the Dirk signature one-legged fade. So that's the first part of this shot. Dirk would get to his right shoulder if he wasn't there already. The second part is the gather. The key here is Dirk would gather the ball away from his defender. And he'd start his shot from here. He'd raise the ball up to his set point right from here. Watch it again all the way through and watch how the defender tries to swipe down on the ball but misses. Can't reach it. Again, holding the ball behind him, well away from his defender, and he's going to start his shot from here. Same thing when backing his defender down, especially when spinning too. Dirk dribbled the ball out wide, away from his body. And he used his body to shield the ball from the defender as he gathered it. How do you guard this? You're certainly not stopping it up top. and there's barely any window to try to get your hand on the ball. You'd kinda have to know the shot is coming, slide over to the right real quick, and try to get your hand on top of the ball. But even then, maybe Dirk feels that and pump fakes and steps through. So yeah, gathering the ball out wide away from his defender like this is a subtle yet major key to the success of this shot for Dirk. Alright, the third part of Dirk's fade, getting into his defender's space. He did this in a few ways. When planting with his right foot, he'd take a long, wide step into his defender's space. And then sometimes when he needed to get extra separation, Dirk would lean into and bump his defender. Again, wide step into the defender's space, and now watch the lean in and bump. By stepping into his defender's space and bumping his defender, all Dirk had to do was fade back and he'd have plenty of space to get this shot off. Speaking of which, the next part of Dirk's fade was to, well, separate, fade away. With his right leg out wide, he'd push off that right leg and fade back. The work he did prior to fading away, getting into his defender's space, bumping them, now, when you add in the fadeaway itself, it gave Dirk plenty of room to shoot this shot. Watch how much space he creates here. Now, as he faded back, Dirk raised his right leg high into the air. This really gives it that signature Dirk look. But looks aside, what this did was his right leg became like a barrier, like a shield. It kept the defender from being able to get close and block or even just better contest the shot. It kept the defender out of Dirk's space. Again, how the heck do you guard this shot? Speaking of which, the last part of Dirk's one-legged fade, and yet another reason it was unguardable. Dirk had a high release and a high set point. He was already 7 feet tall, but then on top of that, he brought the ball up above his head to shoot, and he finished with his release even higher. By gathering the ball away from his body, by getting into the defender's space with a wide step and a bump, by fading away, raising up his right leg like a shield, and shooting the ball high above his head, Dirk was able to get this shot off whenever he wanted, making it virtually impossible to guard. And that is the Dirk Nowitzki one-legged fadeaway. And these are all the little things he did that made it so successful. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you learned a thing or two that helps you become a better shooter yourself. And let me know if there's any other players whose signature shot you want me to break down. Alright, with that said, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.